Salah, Wirtz, Palmer, Rodgers. We're starting to lock players in now. This is my updated team selection video for game week 1. Hope you guys are well and you're enjoying your pre-season drafting. This is my third draft I'm delighted to show you. And we're going to go through and look back on my second draft, take players out, add players in and show you who's nailed, who's not, who's locked and why. But first, I just want to address team structure. Before I do that, guys, please do hit that like button. I'd love to get this video over 500 likes. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new around here as well. I've got so much pre-season content planned to show you guys with some awesome guests. But look, team structure is the thing that I've been umming and ahhing on most of all. Like, it's really easy drafting and putting all your favourite players in, but what I really want to navigate first is a locked in structure, and then I can find key cogs. So for example, if I've got a structure and I go, I've got one 4.5 million defender, I'm still unsure who that is, but I know I want a 4.5 million defender. And I think that's what I've been toing and throwing with all my drafts. And the main theme I've got over the last couple of weeks is the more and more I draft, the more and more I look at team structure, I'm taking more money out of the defence, I think, to squeeze it in attack. And I think this is a season we can do that. One, because of the new scoring matrix, and two, because I think we've got more premiums in the game than we've ever had before. I don't remember a time when we had so many premiums which we wanted in our teams. I'm not just talking about Salah and Haaland. I'm talking at all those priced between 8 and 10.5 million. We want Gyökeres, we want Watkins, but we can't have either. Or we want Palmer and we want Wirtz, but we can't have both. Marmoush, etc, etc. So let's have a look at my team and go through first who has come out from the last draft I showed you. And guys, there has been big changes at the back and very few changes up top. So straight away, Raya, Kinski, we're going to grey them out. We'll get to replacements in a second. Matheus Nunes, Aina and Reinildo all coming out as well. We'll grey them. The midfield, it stays intact for now. Although we're going to speak about Adingra in a minute and 5.5 mids. João Pedro and Mayenda also we're going to grey out. So all in all, 2, 4, 5, 7 grade players. And the changes are quite drastic at the back. So let me explain why. In goal, let's kick us off, shall we? Raya and Kinski works. I think Raya's the best keeper at 5.5 million. And then a 4 million fodder. There is no 4 million starter. But the reason I want them out is I know I'm now committing to bench boost. And if I'm committing to bench boost, I need 2 playing goalkeepers. So it leaves you with 4.5 rotating pairs. Now, when we look at the 4.5 rotating pairs, we're looking at goalkeepers from newly promoted teams, as well as Bournemouth, West Ham, Wolves. It's okay. But there isn't a combination Brentford I absolutely love of 2 4.5s rotating. I like Wolves and Jose Sarr, and I like Petrovic at Bournemouth, and they rotate okay. But if you can spend 5 million, if you can get to Sanchez of Chelsea, and I don't have a Chelsea defender, if you can cover Chelsea, who are one of the best clean sheet teams in the division, I think you get there. So look, let's go Sanchez in for Raya. He's 5 million. Sanchez could have been priced 5.5. I think it would have been fair. I think 5 million is a bit of a steal. And at the moment, I think I'm happy with him. And then Jose Sarr is the best 4.5 million keeper for me. He's now number 1 at Wolves. Sam Johnson, Jose Sarr have been competing for it. But looks like Sarr's going to be first choice this season. And if he is, I like Sarr very much. I also like Petrovic of Bournemouth. And I prefer them both to Kelleher of Brentford. Is it 0.5 too much spent on goalkeepers? Maybe, but when Sanchez has a tricky game, Sarr has okay fixtures. They rotate quite nicely. So as things stand, that's where we're at in goal, and we're going down to 5 million instead of 5.5 as a premium. Let's talk defenders though, because I think this is where it gets really exciting for me. I love the idea of covering Man City, and I think Matheus Nunes is a good pick who should be first choice. But I can't deny Man City are going to probably buy a fullback, and if they do, it's going to be a right back like Tino Livramento they've been heavily linked with. If Matheus Nunes isn't first choice, like game week 3 onwards when the transfer window closes, I'm going to be so disappointed in myself. Obviously, there's always that fear of rotation with the like of a Kanji or Rico Lewis playing there as well. So I just think he's too risky. I still think he's a really good punt, but he is a punt. Daniel Munoz comes in. Now, Daniel Munoz is 5.5 million, and in this spot, I do have 6 million available, right? I have 0.5 in the bank with this final draft. So actually, we should probably put 0.5 on screen. This draft leaves 0.5 in the bank, right? But Munoz is 5.5, and I think he could be a better pick than the 6 million guys in terms of value. So sure, I can get a Gabriel, I can get a Van Dijk, I can get an Ait Nouri. They're all brilliant picks. But Daniel Munoz is a brilliant pick too, and the reason so many aren't buying him is they're put off by those early fixtures. People don't like seeing Chelsea away straight up. I would argue the fixtures aren't too bad for attacking returns because game week 2, Forest at home, I back Palace. Villa away, I back Palace to score. So I don't think they're bad fixtures, and I just remember how Daniel Munoz is a little bit of a one-off in this game. He's a wing-back that plays in a back 3 system, back midfield 5. So effectively he's a wide forward at times, the attacking outlet for his team. But he's also a 90-minute man. So often when we're talking about attacking fullbacks, they're not nailed or they're not 90 minutes. Daniel Munoz is, and I expect goals. He's already scored in pre-season. He looks so lively. I fancy him to have a big start to the season, and I fancy no one to pick him because of those fixtures when they're not actually that bad. So Munoz is in, and as I said, that could change to a 6 million spot, but I like leaving $500,000 in the bank. One, because I like Munoz, and two, as soon as I start making transfers, having $500,000 in the bank, knowing there'll be price changes when I make those transfers, I think will be really important. Now, I'll probably be buying someone who's already risen 0.1. I won't be priced out if I have 0.5 in the bank. O'Brien stays. Spoke to former winner Ben Crabtree, Everton fan. He's got O'Brien in his team. I think that's all we need to know. He's an Everton fan. He said O'Brien's nailed. Good pick. Cheaper than the centre-backs. Aina has come out, but for another Forest fullback, and that is Nico Williams. And that's because I've just done a little bit more research on it. There's very little splitting the pair, but this chart from Baker, do check out above average FPL, by the way. This chart from Baker just shows the difference between Aina and Williams with bonus potential and with defensive points. So with bonus, he's slightly better. With defensive contributions, if we look down 2/3 down the bottom, Williams, 32% of his games he'll get defensive contributions, 7.2 based on last season. Aina 5.9 and only 11%. That's a big difference, and there's very little splitting them. Williams also shoots a little bit more. So still protecting Forest. Still avoiding the centre-backs. Although I've got $500,000 in the bank, I could go to Milenkovic and Rello, who are better, but I think I want that money in the bank. De Kuiper stays for the time being, but when we look at the 4.5 defenders graphic, there are lots of options. And I'm not including in this list Senesi and Agbadou. I like those guys. For me, it's between De Kuiper and Van de Ven. I'm not really pro-Gahey. I'm not pro-Wan-Bissaka, but Van de Ven has the better fixture game week 1. I do like, but De Kuiper's got the upside. I'm just slightly worried about minutes. Van de Ven, at least we know, is nailed. But let's keep De Kuiper in there for the time being. And then we're taking out the 4 million defender of Sunderland and going to a 4 million defender at Burnley. Esteve has better fixtures. If you're bench boosting game week 1, Sunderland defender made sense. If you're not, and I don't think I am bench boosting game week 1 now, I'll talk to you about when I'm bench boosting in a second. I think Esteve is the better pick because Burnley have slightly better fixtures moving forward in the weeks I want to play them. Over times, Sunderland have great fixtures, but in game week 2, Esteve is at home to Sunderland. I fancy Burnley in that fixture over Sunderland, who will be the away team. And in game week 2, that brings me on to our next chat before we see the rest of the team, onto bench boost game week 2 for me. Guys, do hit those buttons. I'd love you to subscribe, but comment if you've got a question as well. Let me address bench boost before we see the attackers. I want a bench boost before our wildcard. I've committed to an early bench boost. But why does it have to be game week 1, right? Let's assume no one's wildcard until game week 5. Also consider bench boost 2, 3 and 4 or 5. Like, consider these weeks as much as game week 1. The fear of bench boosting game week 1 is without even knowing we're producing free hit teams. We're producing the best team for game week 1. We've got 50, and it's like, no, we have to produce the best team for the first wave of game weeks until we wildcard. So look and use planners and go ahead and think about when is best for your team. And that doesn't have to be game week 1. Don't pick your team in your squad because you're bench boosting. Pick the best squad and then think about when with bench boost in mind, but then think about when will be best to bench boost. So I realised I was picking the best team for a game week 1 bench boost. And it was like, no, Gianni, pick the best team that you want to enter the season with and then see when best boost works. And that changed my selection. Sunderland players, for example, came out. I wanted Sunderland players because it was at home to West Ham, but do I want them over a long-term period? No. Players like Esteve I go, yeah, I'll play him in game week 2. That works for a bench boost. Munoz, game week 2, has Nottingham Forest at home. O'Brien's got Brighton at home for Everton. Like, my players have good game week 2 fixtures. De Kuiper goes to Everton. Williams has got an all right fixture too. Like, some of these guys play each other and you'll be hoping for nil-nils. But it works for my team. My attackers have good fixtures in game week 2. So I think that's where I'm at. All I know is I want a bench boost before I wildcard, and it has to be one of the first few weeks. It doesn't have to be game week 1. It also gives you a get out. Because if in game week 1 you have a player out of nowhere that's not first choice, like Nkunku or Barco last year for me, let's say De Kuiper's not first choice, I have a get out. I can use a transfer going into bench boost game week 2 if I have to. I don't want to do that, but if I have to, I can. So that's where I'm at with bench boost. But let's talk midfielders, shall we? Look, Salah, Wirtz, Palmer, Rodgers. I feel like they're all pretty locked in my team. Like, they are staying in this draft. Wirtz, by the way, trained for Liverpool the other day with Ekitike in the front too. I mean, he looks razor sharp pre-season. He'll probably be number 10, but just to know there's experiments going on there. Cole Palmer is the guy I didn't start with in draft 1. I can't cheat this. I wanted to cheat with a Chelsea attacker. Can I get João Pedro and cover Palmer's points? Can I get Pedro Neto or Enzo Fernandez and cover some of those points? Guys, I'm struggling here. I just can't and be happy with it. Cole Palmer has great fixtures. He's Chelsea's talisman. It's very difficult to go without him. Worst case scenario, he's sold and he's your cash cow. You cover at least that price point. If I need to get to a Haaland, Palmer might be my cash cow. If I need to get to an expensive forward, Palmer might be my cash cow. And then Rodgers, like, I know I want an Aston Villa attacker, and I thought it could be Ollie Watkins. I'm worried about the Ollie Watkins transfer chat, guys. Like, he could end up being very unsettled in game week 1 and 2. The transfer window is open till the end of August. He could make a move to Man United or Newcastle or whoever in game week 2 or 3. Like, that could happen, and I don't really want that on his mind going if he's one of my FPL picks. Maybe he's benched, whatever. Maybe he's not fully focused. There's something going on between Emery and Watkins anyway. We know that from last season with the benchings for Rashford in big games, big Champions League games. They don't get on. And Rodgers gives me a route to the Aston Villa attack. A 90-minute man that's shot hungry, links well with Watkins if Watkins is around, but will get FPL points. Absolutely deserves a price rise at 7 million. So I'm happy with Watkins there. And I think many will probably agree. I think he's going to make his way into a lot of teams, especially those that don't want Watkins. And then we look at the midfield of 5. I know I want a 5.5 slot here. This is likely to be my 7th/8th attacker. It'll rotate with my 8th attacker. So I'm looking for a player that rotates well with my 3rd forward, because one will always play. Be 3rd forward or be 5th midfielder. I am torn between the upside of a Dingra, and which is the high ceiling, or the high floor of an Elliot Anderson. So look, here are some like 5.5 million midfielders. I think Reinders could be amazing value. Just need to know he's nailed, but he should play alongside Rodri. I think Arias of Wolves could be sensational, but he's a bit too much of a wildcard pick early on for minutes. So it's between the Dingra and Anderson for me. I'm staying with the Dingra who scored for Sunderland pre-season the other day, but Elliot Anderson does have that floor, and I have to remember that. Like, he picks up on average over 13 defensive action points per game. You need 12 to get 2 points. Over half his games, Elliot Anderson picks up DEFCON points. He also takes a lot of set pieces. Let's see where I land. Adingra's a little bit more fun. And now we need to talk forwards. Before we do, guys, I would love you to join my mini league. There is a link in the description. There is the code staying on screen in the bottom right as well. So yeah, check out my mini league if you want to join. So, forwards. Solanke has stayed. He's had a slight niggle in pre-season. Let's just monitor that. We need to know he's fit game week 1, but it's just something about Solanke knowing he'll probably be on penalties now, with Son very likely to leave. He'll probably be a 90-minute man, and he'll probably get a ton of big chances because Thomas Frank forwards get big chances. You've heard me saying it all pre-season. So look, Solanke stays, but then we need to talk about the other 2 spots. João Pedro's not going to be a 90-minute man. As much as I want him to be like a great FPL pick, yes, he's super popular, and yes, he could score early on, and I think he's got the momentum from the Club World Cup. Delap's going to get some minutes. So who does play 90 minutes up top? Who's cheaper and gives me a little bit more money? And that's the 6.5 million, guys. Yes, at 7.5 million, you can get to Mateta, I like. Obviously, Solanke's in there, Chris Wood. But you go down to 6.5 million, there's 2 forwards in Welbeck and Strand Larsen I really like. And on this graphic, we can see I've just chucked in Jimenez. won't get 90, but we always overlook Fulham. And Nicholas Jackson, if he gets a move, if Jackson ends up as Villa's starting number 9 or Newcastle's starting 9 or Man United starting 9, probably Jackson's the best pick of them all. He just is. But Welbeck could be on pens with no João Pedro there. Strand Larsen could be on pens without Cunha there. And in their own right, they're good picks. Now, Welbeck will see more early subs. Strand Larsen scored 14 Premier League goals last season, non-penalty. Very, very good player. Don't be put off by game week 1. Man City at home. He's still okay in that fixture. City can see chances. I like Strand Larsen very, very much. And actually, he's the guy that I'm picking to go in this team. Far from locked, but Strand Larsen, welcome to the team. I think I like this addition. If Nico Jackson gets a move, he goes. But for the time being, Strand Larsen in for João Pedro and saving $1 million, I quite like. Now, with that $1 million, you can see I've got 0.5 in the bank. But I've also then got 0.5 to spend on the third forward spot. And the third forward spot is really important to me, I think, because I'm not fully happy with the 5.5 gang. The 5.5 gang include forwards like Beto, not nailed. Mayenda, how many will he score? And do I want Mayenda and Adingra? Probably not. Mayenda is a first choice at Sunderland unless they buy. And he's did all right in the Championship last year. But I could get a number 9 at 6 million for a better team. And Brentford's number 9, Igor Thiago, is surely going to score some goals. They paid a lot of money for him. Terrible injury since he's been at Brentford. And obviously with Visser scoring goals and Burmo scoring goals, like Igor Thiago wasn't the focus. He will be the focal point for Brentford this year. They've spent big money on him. They need to see him come good. He's a 6 million punt, but he will come in and out the team with my 5th midfielder. He can even rotate with Strand Larsen where needed. I think Thiago is the best 6 million and will be the best 6 million in the game. Tino Barry of Everton, 6 million, but again, Barry and Beto, we just don't know there with minutes. But for the time being, I'm fairly happy with this team. The midfield feels really set. The front line is starting to look better, and the back line, I think I've got that structure. Now remember, with $500,000 in the bank here, I can upgrade Munoz to the player everyone's going for, and that's Van Dijk. Like, Van Dijk gives you some DEFCON and clean sheet and a bit of goal threat. But just feel like having $500,000 in the bank will be really, really popular when we start making transfers from game week 2 onwards. And that's because of price rises. If you have $500,000 in the bank, you can still shop in the same bracket off a player that's trending. And no doubt, everyone we buy in FPL in the early weeks will be trending. They will have just hauled, or they will be looking good, and they will be going up in value. So I think having $500,000, if you can, is really, really important. Whether or not I maintain that or I feel I need to spend that $500,000, I don't know. But it will be spent in the back line if it's spent at all. The structure now, at least I'm happy with. I'm not going to release draft 4 for at least another week. I give plenty of time between my drafts because I don't want to muddle myself too much. But the more and more I do this, the more and more I'm happy with the look of my team. Drop a comment below. See you in another 24 hours time for another video. Thank you. Bye-bye.